Well, Sunday we had 7 games on in the NBA, so let's recap them, get all the information that we need out of this one. Michael Bolton, squeeze it for me.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and what's your snap? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood Gold, providing you the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. The generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. This is the new gold standard, and it is here. Robinhood Gold is there. Well, that's what it is. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Tongue-tied start to the recap. Also, check out lockedondaily.com, where you find your favorite team's NBA newsletter. All the best information about that team sent smack bang in the middle of your inbox 5 days a week. Let's just thumb it up, eh? I don't need every episode. I'm going to say a thumb or a bang or a double bang or a comment. You know what to do by now. And if you haven't, hello, welcome. Good to see you guys here. Maybe I'll do the opposite. You know how people don't like to be told what to do? Don't subscribe. Don't thumb up. And definitely don't comment. Absolutely not. I don't want them. We're here to talk Sunday's games in the NBA. Might as well just get into what we need to talk about now, because this is the end of week 8. Heading into week 9 tomorrow. Reminder that Tuesday and Wednesday have no fantasy relevant games. No games that count for fantasy at all. Let's get a bit of news out of the way here. We got the update on Joel Embiid. Well, not actually a full update. We got some update on Joel Embiid. Embiid is not playing on Monday. That means he won't play Tuesday, Wednesday because there's no games on. But we don't have an update as to how long this sinus fracture is going to keep him out. It could be 1 to 2 games. It could return as quickly as that, put a mask on. It could be, if surgery is required, which we haven't heard anything about, it could be multiple weeks. But it doesn't seem at this point that it's a long-term thing, thankfully. But that's just another thing to add to the list of nonsense that seems to go on with Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris is dealing with a thumb sprain, and again, all we know that he's out on Monday. We haven't had any updates as to how long it's going to be, or what sort of time frame, if there's surgery, nothing. We've got no idea. All we know that Thick Hogsman is out. We'll get a really good indication on Monday about the Pistons. We saw Ron Holland go off last game, but is Asar going to start? What happens to Fontecchio? What happens? And who fills in that gap with Harris out? Good news. On Detroit, actually, we know that they waived Paul Reed and no one signed Reed yet. He's still got another couple of days, another day, I think, to clear through waivers, but they did sign someone. It's not going to matter. It's Javonte McCoy that they signed. They needed to sign someone to get themselves back to the salary floor, which they did. So Javonte McCoy is who they signed. Evan Mobley missed the last game. He'll be returning for the game, but Max Strus is out for their game on Monday, so that's updated. And then the best news we got, LaMelo Ball. He is almost back. He's been upgraded to questionable, so there's a chance the Ball plays on Monday. We know the Hornets go Monday, Thursday, Friday. We do not want him to, we would, fingers crossed, if he's going to miss any of these games, miss on Thursday. Because there are 13 games on Thursday. Play Monday, sit Thursday, play Friday would be the absolutely perfect scenario here. And as soon as LaMelo is back, you can drop Vasim Micic. Now, of course, if Melo sits on Friday, Micic will become a really good stream guy for that day. But yeah, and maybe you do want to hold just because you might get a game on Friday. But as a general long-term rule, with Ball back, Micic can be moved on from in the majority of fantasy situations. Should we just go in and talk about these games, the 7 of them that we had on Sunday? We'll go to the first game. What a jolly good place that is to start. We're talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. They matched up against the Indiana Pacers. No lineup changes for either of these teams. We've still got all of those absences for New Orleans. We should, I'm guessing, be getting Jordy Hawkins back soon at some point this week, but not there yet. The Pacers win at 119-104. Herb Jones has been a bit of a roller coaster since returning. He took 17 shots in this one and hit 35%, which is weird from numerous aspects. Why is he taking so many shots and none of them went in? But he got 4 steals. He had 19, 5, and 3. And his game log, again, he's a pretty interesting read. Trey Murphy is playing a million minutes, 36 of them here, 16 and 6, 2 blocks, 2 threes. Still not shooting elite numbers, but clearly a must-roster player. DeJounte Murray, I know. I'll get it out of the way now. Yeah, he turned it over a lot. Again, I don't really know what's going on. Also, what I do know is he's been one of the more overrated players in the NBA for the last 4 years. And maybe people waking up a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, that's a million turnovers. He had 12, 7, and 7 with 2 steals. That other stuff's great. The free throws, maybe not, 1 of 2 is not ideal, but yeah, at some point, and for me who punts turnovers, at some point, I'm going like 8, bro. I think that's 8 in back-to-back games. So come on, man, we've got to do better than that. I'm not a big CJ McCollum guy, if you're well aware of that as well, which you probably are, but I also think he can do better than this. 15 points in 31 minutes on 33%, and Yves Missi played 34 minutes. And I'll raise a little red flag about Missi. Not that he's bad or anything, he's totally serviceable. But no Ingram, no Zion, no Alvarado, no Hawkins, no Robinson Earl in this game. Missi played 34 minutes and still has 9 and 14. That's when I talk about, and yeah, like I was not big on Missi I like him as a prospect. I didn't like him in New Orleans, and I didn't like him for fantasy this year. And he started to do more, and I've been wrong on that. I had added him in a few spots, but as a general, I've been wrong on him. But the general reason why I'm not that excited for him is that look, everything's in place for big stuff from him, and we get 7 shots. We get 1 block. It's fine. He's fine. He's the 158th ranked category league player. That's fine. He's 127th in points leagues. It's fine, but it's not like trip over your dick to grab off the waiver wire stuff. And yeah, the minutes are up at the moment. But when you're trying to look out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or a month or even 2 weeks, and where we look at it and go, I don't know, because eventually Ingram's going to play and Zion's going to play and Hawkins is going to get some minutes. And Missi's got these big opportunities and he's sort of doing nothing with it. And that's where I have some concern. It was also a really good BJ Boston game. 20 points. Now, he is also in the position where he's doing a lot of scoring and nothing else. He played more minutes than I thought. I didn't think he was playing 31 minutes. He shot 47%, but 20 and 2 with 1 assist. That's DeAndre Hunter numbers. He's fine for your points and threes, but again, overall, I'm not massively into adding BJ Boston as a 12-team league guy at the moment, but there's some points value in him there. For the Pacers, I know it's been trendy to hate on Tyrese Haliburton and say how terrible he is, but 21, 4, and 10, 2 steals and a block. He shot 43%. He hit 4 threes. He's a 12th best player over the last 5 games. He's a top 20 guy over the last 2 weeks. It's better. It's not perfect. It's not fixed, but it might be close to fixed. It's not far off. And when you're worrying and you're gnashing your teeth and smashing your face into a brick wall because of how frustrated you are with Fred VanVleet's performance, for example, just think back to the consternation around Tyrese Haliburton and all the issues around that. And just that there can be some improvements that do happen for guys with long-established track records. So just remember that. Good game from Tyrese. This was the first game in a Pacers uniform from Thomas Bryant, and they're all smiles and, yeah, high five, Tom. And that's great. That's what happens. When Tom Bryant comes to a team, they play him. He hit his first 3 shots. It's all smiles, it's all puppy dogs and unicorn, rainbow hair, so whatever it is. It's all cool until he gets exposed really quickly. He only played 11 minutes. He had 7 points with 2 rebounds. He blocked a shot. Theoretically, he could be, wow, it's double-double guy, blocks shots, hit threes, he's awesome. He's not, but he will do some interesting stuff early on. What didn't happen, though, is it didn't really curb Obi Toppin. 21 minutes for Toppin, who had 16 with 4 threes, 3 steals, but there's a lot there that's also not real. 3 steals, very clearly fake. That's not what he does. He also shot 75%. He took 8 shots. So while Toppin is putting up massive numbers, top 50 guy over the last 2 weeks, which again doesn't seem real. How is old mate doing it in 22 minutes? It's through a lot of stuff that has no shot of holding. So yeah, streaming for now, but don't get too enamored. Speaking of enamored, many were enamored with what Benedict Mathurin was doing earlier in the season, and you should be unenamored at the moment because the man sucks for now. 8 points in 28 minutes. He did have 6 rebounds, but he took 6 shots. He had no steals. He had no assists, and I think that we can feel safely confident about just saying, yeah, I think that might have just been a hot streak. And now Neesmith and Shepherd, they literally might be back in the next 2 games. Nembhard's there. Mathurin is actually just being Benedict Mathurin. And it was a hot streak, I think. So, are we ready to get our first jack-off in of the day?
Get that garbage out of here.
See you later, Benedict Mathurin. As for Nembhard, it looks good on the surface, doesn't it? 17, 2, and 7. You like that, you get excited. But he needed to shoot 63%. He needed to take 7 free throws and hit them all. So I'm going to say that's more 14 team. I'm not feeling that that's reliable as a level of production. Well, Pascal Siakam had 22, 5, and 2 for the most Pascal Siakam game that I really could imagine. Also, by the way, Haliburton got his 8 assists, but if it wasn't for that, that's not doing it. So, with Mathurin and Nembhard there and those other guys returning, if you did want to move off of old mate TJ, I think that is a reasonable way to look at that, I think. We've got 6 more games to talk about, and we will do that. But first of all, today's episode is brought to you by the Silver Spoon Deniers. Robin Hood Gold. They're not denying silver spoons exist. They know they exist, but what they're saying is you don't need one to be able to enjoy the financial favors of the 1%. Robin Hood Gold offers you to get the rates and the perks that are usually reserved for high society. Now, any society can get it. A resourceful individual. If you've got Robinhood Gold, which you can get for as little as $5 a month, you can get a liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash, and you can be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. That is the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth, and it's only $5 a month. Robinhood Gold is the new gold standard, so sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. We are in December, and you know what December means? Well, I think you know what it means. It means the end of a calendar year. It means breaks for work or school and catch-ups with family, for Christmas, other religious-based holidays, agnostic holidays, New Year's Eve. There's so many different things that happen through December that it can be overwhelming, but it can also be a comforting thing. Hey, I haven't seen this person in a year. That's going to be great to catch up. Comfort and coziness, that's all good. Stress and anxiety is bad. I think we're all aware of the good, bad nature of those two things. Therapy can be a way to get some comfort and to recognize comfort and learn to embrace that comfort in your life as well. That gives you that comfort, and if you get on top of things and you work through things with therapy, that can be a comfort that just doesn't go away, which is another awesome benefit. So find your comfort this December with BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. We might sneak into the next game, I think. That would be a probably good way to go about this, I reckon. Which is, of course, your Boston Celtics going up against the Washington Wizards. The Celtics win this one pretty easy. Jason Tatum returned, but Al Horford rested. And the Celtics resting has started already. Now, last season, when we got to like February and March, we called it really early and said, look, they are just going to sit game after game after game after game. And they did. We're in the middle of December. And that is what is happening. Because Al Horford just sat this one out. He did like 4 days off. And it wasn't a back-to-back. And they said, Al, take another day off. You got Tuesday, Wednesday off as well. Just don't what are you doing here? Last game, Tatum sat down. So just expect more and more of this. Expect more of it. Tatum played 35 minutes. He had 28 and 12. That's great. Derek White had 15, 5 and 5 with 2 steals and 2 blocks and 3 threes and continues to be unbelievably awesome. The bad news is that Kristaps Porzingis hurt his heel, which they're calling a heel, which I'm sure they don't want to say, yeah, the ankle that he had surgery on, he rooted it again. I'm sure they don't want to say that. They called it heel pain. He claims that he is fine. And honestly, if it was any other sort of situation, I'd be like, I don't believe the player for a single second. I know that they're lying. But we've actually seen this a few times with the Celtics already this season, and with Porzingis, is that any little thing happens, they say, Chris, get out, mate. We don't need you. Don't play. And he goes off, and he sits out, and he comes back the next game good as new. I reckon it's happened twice already, and I'm not going to be shocked if he just plays the next game. Jaylen Brown, really, really bad for a couple of things. 29% shooting stinks. He played 26 minutes. That stinks. He was 1 of 4 from the line. What is that, my guy? But he did have 3 steals and a block. But again, they don't need him. So don't worry too much about it. But it is frustrating for us. The other frustrating thing is Drew Holiday cannot get going. And I think the only place at the moment that he can get going is getting jacked off to the waiver wire.
Get that garbage out of here.
In some leagues. In 10-teamers, I'd be okay with moving on from Drew. In 12-team points leagues, I'd be okay with moving on from Drew. In a 12-team category league, that's where it gets tough. But honestly, what's the upside for him at the moment? Rests, low minutes, bad shooting. The defensive stuff isn't there all the time. What's the upside here? He is not old Drew. He's not young Drew. He's not any Drew. He's just Drew, I guess. I don't know. But he's not the same guy. I would try to hold in a 12-team cat league, but shallower or 12-team points, I don't think we do it. Let's talk Peyton Pritchard because he's been ridiculously good. I did not expect at all there was any path for him to be as good as he has been. Not whatsoever. But he's cooking. 37 minutes, 15, 11, and 6 with 5 threes. And what's been a really... there will be a point where the shooting does cool off. I feel comfortable in saying that, right? The shooting will drop at some point here. But what is very interesting about Pritchard at the moment is that he gets his 23 minutes or 24 minutes, whatever, in a regular game. But when they decide they're going to bench other guys and they're going to bring their reserve players in, you're going to get doses of Drew Peterson or you're going to get JD Davis. And what other spud do they play here? Jordan Walsh, and you're going to get Namesh Keita minutes and whatever. You know who stays in with those guys? It's Pritchard. Because they like his ability to play with the main group and help keep the other guys sort of in the right spots. And that's why he's getting so many minutes. Also, in this one, Drew and Jaylen Brown played 25 minutes each, so he bumped up. But there's always something for Pritchard at the moment that's enabling him to get huge minutes. Slam and Sammy Hauser played 29 minutes. He had 12 and 7 with 4 threes and 2 steals. That's pretty good. It's a really strong 14-team league guy, and he's available like everywhere. Like he's just not rostered. So if I'm in a 14-team, I'm looking at that. And Cornette continues to be the pick of the backup big men. Cornette over Keita, who played under 10 minutes, and Tillman played 2 garbage time minutes. And with Horford will probably play next game, but maybe Porzingis sits. Maybe we can look at the Unicornetto. What about on the Washington side? What about the Wizards? How do we go looking at them? Well, let's just take a look because they trotted out the same lineup. I didn't tell you that they lost 112-98, and there was still no Kuzma, no Brogdon, no Kispert, and no George. So that meant that Prosecco, Lambrusco's not sparkling, is it? Nah, it's not. Anyway, non-French affiliated sparkling wine legend Justin Champagne cooked again. 39 minutes, 13 and 14, 3 steals and 2 blocks. Very good stuff. Really good numbers. And while these guys are out, you can continue to use him. He is putting up like top 50 numbers in 35 minutes a game. Unbelievable. And I don't know when it ends. So you can stream. I don't think that this is going to be a long-term thing, but considering there's actually zero update on a lot of these players, I just don't know. But there are 4 clear players, and you might say Brogdon's not long for the team, and I agree. But Brogdon, Kispert, George, and Kuzma are all out. And let's just say that they play, let's just go 25 minutes each. That's 100 minutes that need to come out of that rotation. And those minutes are coming from Justin Champagne, I am certain of it. Certain. But while he's rolling now, keep going. I think that is a perfect situation where you get 3 blokes or 4 blokes at one point because Sarr was out, all play the same position, all out. Champagne steps up, looks great, and he's very much looked good. Let's see. Maybe they do keep giving him a role, but to this level, it seems almost impossible. Jordy Poole may have sprained his ankle towards the end of the game. Just keep an eye on to see whether there's any problem there. But he had 21 and 7 with 2 steals. And we actually got another one, about 2 or 3 in a row now. Good games from Bilal Coulibaly. Bilal played 37 minutes. He took 20 shots, which is honestly outrageous to see him take that many shots. He had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And what is good there is he didn't shoot super well, but he was empowered and he was encouraged. And he felt good enough to take him. And I like that. So go back and re-add him. I think that we're getting a lot of the rookie point guard stuff from Bub Carrington at the moment. He played 40 minutes, which is clearly a lot. 11 points. 10 rebounds is nice. 2 steals is nice. But overall, he took 9 shots. There's not enough for me to get excited about Bubbles here. Well, this is not actually, that's too confusing, about Carlton Carrington to get too excited about because, again, it's just like he's fine. The minutes are good, but he's not doing enough that matters for any league realistically at the moment, outside of like 16 teamers. And that's sort of where I'd look. The other interesting thing that's going on with the Wizards is that Jonas Valanciunas is just being phased out. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and I know who's going to be the first to do it. They're just preserving him for a trade. So the opposite of a showcase, as we make up our own bullshit stories to suit whatever we want. Gotcha. Yeah. You can't have trade showcases being a thing and then trade preservation also being a thing just because you want there to be a trade. Doesn't happen. Valanciunas had 2 points in 9 minutes. The minutes just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. They even went to 11 minutes of Marvin Bagley. Much like with Drew Holiday, there's been a consistent value of these guys over years. But I don't know that you have to hold on to Valanciunas. There's also the things that I hear that boggle my mind is that, oh man, the Lakers should trade for Valanciunas. The Lakers need to trade for Vooch. Why? Why? To play 14 minutes behind Anthony Davis? To be slow, non-defensive big men? Why? I don't understand the infatuation with these guys. Alex Sarr was fine-ish. He took a lot of shots. They didn't go in, 18 of them. But he had 14 and 6 with 2 blocks and 2 threes. I do believe that he is a holdable player. There's just enough happening there that you roster him, I think, in 12-team formats. But, that is just me. And also is just me the fact that I'm going incredibly slow on these games. But I think there was enough here to talk about. We've got 5 more games? 5 more games. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all of the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook right now. New customers, you could bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. In the middle of the game, you might get a hunch. You can check out all the latest stats, the live stats. They're there updating. The play-by-play, it's there as well. And it's all on that same page where you would place your bets. So go to FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right. That will now bring me in to hopefully speed this up and go into the Knicks and our Orlando Magic. The Knicks get the win 100-91. The Knicks trotted out the exact same lineup that they do every bloody time. And in a game, they win by 9, which honestly wasn't really that close. We got 43 minutes from injured Karl Anthony Towns. 22 and 22 with 5 assists and a block. He continues to put up insane fantasy numbers. And you continue to be worried every time he's playing these crazy minutes. Josh Hart had 4 steals, which is obviously great. 12 and 5 with 5 assists and 4 steals is really good. And it was also good to get a big Jalen Brunson game. 31, 3 and 5 with 4 threes. It was not a good game from Anunoby, who had 7 points, and Bridges had 17 with a lot of ones. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. But overall, I'm not really sure what to take out of this from the Knicks. What I will take out of it is that Juice McBride played only 21 minutes. He had 7 points. And what I've said all along, if he plays 26 minutes tonight, that's really good stash value. Not anymore.
Get that garbage out of here.
Now, if someone gets hurt, he'll still probably play 40 minutes. But you're not getting anywhere close to enough value in 20 minutes from Juice to hold him outside of a situation when you've got extended bench players. We're going to go to the Magic side of things, and you're going to look at things on this team, and you're going to think that there are some interesting takeaways. And, well, maybe that's the case. I'm not sure that there is, because we'll start with the guy that led the team in scoring off the bench. Flaming Mo Wagner dropped 32 points in 26 minutes. He had 6 rebounds with 2 steals and 4 threes, and that's all well and good. That's fantastic. Well done, Mo. That's really good scoring. But again, we have to sit there and look at it and go, that happened. That's amazing. I love that for him. I love that for us. I love that for all of Germany. Except, how real is it that he's going to be a 41 usage player who rolls with a true shooting of 81 and then also chucks in 2 steals for good measure? How real is that? The answer is it's completely fake and it's garbage and you don't pay attention that much to it. But what we know that Mo Wagner can do is he'll play his 21, 22 minutes, he'll get shots up, he'll score well, he'll do it with good field goal percentages as a general rule. He just did stuff well above and beyond that, which skews numbers. It looks awesome, but it's also not necessarily a big takeaway. And that is, again, I think that is a great example. Great sounds like I'm fluffing myself here under the desk, which, to be fair, that happens 2, 3, 4 times an episode anyway. But what I'm saying is the way that that's the approach I like to have when doing this show, is that that's all great that Mo did that. It's fantastic that he did that. But what I try to do from a fantasy perspective on this show is tell you that's great, but what happens next game? What do we do after that? Because it's all well and good to say, let's go at Mo Wagner. Because look, well, he scored. Unbelievable scoring. Yeah, he's going to do it. Will he, though? Because none of that shit seems real. It's not predictable. It's not predictive. It's not something that they're going to do every game. He will do a little bit more and he'll play more, but 41 usage on 81 true shooting has no shot. And if he's not running at that level of shooting, will he get that level of usage or will he get those level of minutes? And the answer to that is probably not. Doesn't always work. Very clearly doesn't always work. Much like, I thought they would need Cole Anthony to generate shots. He had 4 points in 9 minutes. So we are easily getting rid of him. That didn't work out at all. Clearly wrong.
Get that garbage out of here.
Mr. Black was great. Last game, And in this game, he was just Anthony Black. He had 4 points on 14%. He had 3 assists. Now, you know that I do not think Anthony Black is a very good long-term prospect. Doesn't matter if I think that or not. I just look at this and go, there's too much unpredictability, and the floor is so bloody low that we don't worry about it.
Get that garbage out of here.
How about the big fella Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? I've made a habit. I won't say I've made a career out of it, because it's only been recently, of the last couple of years telling you do not need to roster Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. There is no upside. It is all downside, and he just clogs a roster spot. Well, it's even worse than that now.
Get that garbage out of here.
He's not even remotely looking like a 12-team league player. KCP had 4 points in 33 minutes. He had a steal. Sick. Well done, my guy. But he's doing nothing. He doesn't ramp up any usage at all with no Franz or no Paolo. He just sits around and does nothing. So you don't roster him. Jalen Suggs, bad shooting night. This is going to happen. He is tasked with doing a lot more than he needs to. Well, a lot more than he should be. 19 shot attempts, 21%. But he had 8 assists, he had 3 blocks, he had a steal. We love to see that. And it was also a really good game from Tristan da Silva. Now, Tristan da Silva, this is not his first go-around as a starter. He started the last 2 games prior to this. He started games earlier in the season. So before you get all excited, before you get all tingly, before you get ready to put up a poster of Aravinda in your room, understand that the other games were bad. And Da Silva had 20 points here. He took 17 shots. He shot 40% from 3, and he did nothing else. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, and 0 blocks. It was good. He's got the opportunity. But literally look back 1 game. Literally look back 2 games. I would not be burning an ad or a roster spot in 12-teamers on Da Silva. It is very easy to convince ourselves that happened. I saw that happened. That's going to happen the next game. Well, he's young. Well, he's improved now. That is the norm. It's not. It might be, but it's not. There's no way to look at that and suggest that it will keep happening. Nothing would suggest that. And the problem is that if something's not going right, there's nothing to fall back on. There's nothing at all to fall back on. I think you should drop Wendell Carter.
Get that garbage out of here.
He had 2 points. Yucks. Goga only played the 25 minutes. Again, it's just some extra playing time for Mo Wagner. But Goga was still good, 8 and 10 with 3 blocks. He continues to be very, very impressive this season. And he looks like a legitimate NBA starting center at the moment, which is not what I think a lot of people would have thought you would be talking about with Goga Badadze. The next game is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. You'll be shocked to know that the Wolves rolled out the same starting lineup. And it's just a lot of the same stuff again. Pretty comfortable win here. 28 minutes for the streamer, Dawson himself, Jaden McDaniels. 12 and 11 with 4 steals. 4 steals, I love that. I'd love to get 4 steals. I'd love to stream him in and get it, and that's why you would stream him in. But as a general rule, you do not need to just hold him. And the difference, and someone will say this, and well, even if you're not saying it, maybe this idea will come into your head, and maybe you would have thought about this question in 3 weeks' time, but I'll save you the trouble and the time. You will say, or you might think, or you might have this idea, or you might think this is a good point as I bring it up now. When people will say, if he's just going to be a streamer every day, Josh, doesn't that just mean he's someone that you hold on to? All right? That makes sense. If I'm going to tell you that every time Minnesota plays, that Jaden McDaniels is an option to stream, you would say, well, surely I just hold on to him, yeah? I wish I had a buzzer. No. And the reason I don't believe that's the way to look at it is for this purpose. If Jaden McDaniels plays on Monday and he turns in a game, sort of like this, right? That's fine. But then if they don't play Tuesday, they don't play Wednesday, they don't play Thursday, they play on Friday. He is not worth holding through gaps in a schedule. If he has a 3-game week that has a Monday game and then a Friday, Sunday, there is no point in holding Jaden McDaniels when you could be getting someone in for a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back, then adding someone on a Thursday. He's not worth it for that. What he is worth is grabbing when there's a nice little chunk of games, a 3 and 4 or 4 and 6 or whatever, using that value there, and then when it lightens off, you move on and you get more value from someone else. He's not a guy where you go, damn, drop Jaden, because the idea of someone being a streamer means that at any point in time, there might be 5, 10, 15 guys with value that's pretty similar. And in the end, if you're just churning them through, getting the right game's value based on the schedule, that gives you more value than holding on to that guy that every game that he plays, he'll be a streamer, but that doesn't mean that he has to be held. I hope that concept, I hope that makes sense. I think it does. Goose Anthony Edwards had 26 and 5 with 3 threes, while Conley's shooting continues to be a real problem. 9 points on 33%, but he did have 8 assists, so we're not going to worry too much about that. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is, what did I say that word? Nickeil Alexander-Walker's putting up some better games of late. In fact, don't tell anybody, especially people in New York, he's better than Dante DiVincenzo. At the moment, he is. He's very much better than Dante DiVincenzo. And he's producing better than Dante DiVincenzo. Speaking of DiVincenzo, let's just get that out of the way right now. The big fella is out of here.
Get that garbage out of here.
7 points in 20 minutes. Alexander Walker's not a 12 or a 14 team league option. He's just got some nice deep league appeal. It couldn't have been worse for Naz Reid. 10% shooting with 3 points, 3 assists and a block. He played 27 minutes. Now, I will say this with Reid. I don't think that I would drop him. It's been very bad. But what I hope that this does for Reid, not for his sake, because I want Reid to get as much money as possible and have as much fame and success. I want that for every player. I know it's not possible for every player, but I want it for every player. But what I want this to do is for everyone to sort of sit back and go, oh yeah, maybe he's not that good. Because there are some crazy opinions about Naz Reid as a player. And I think that some of these struggles, people go, yeah, all right, let's put it in perspective of who he is. A better Montrezl Harrell? Some might say a worse Montrezl Harrell. But at least I believe that the benefit of this portion of the season for Naz is resetting the expectations. You might say there's actually no benefit to that, Josh, and that is actually fine. You might not think that. For me, as an analyst or someone that works through that in NBA media and all that sort of stuff, I think a resetting of expectations is actually better for the player long term and better for our evaluation and usability in fantasy. Randall and Gobert didn't do a huge amount. 10 and 9 for Gobert and 11 and 4 for Randall, but they're not in any danger of losing that starting spot. But back to DiVincenzo, because I should have put this all together. They seem to be back to committing to Rob Dillingham. 9 minutes for him, 3 points. And they played him alongside Conley. So if they're going to do that, that means that the path for DiVincenzo's minutes of production rising, it's just been erased. Thanos snapped it out of existence. So again, don't feel any issue with moving on from old mate Dante DiVincenzo. What about on the San Antonio side? They did make a change to the starting lineup, and I wasn't sure they were going to do it, but they did. Jeremy Sohan started, and Steph Castle moved to the bench. Didn't think they would do it, but they did. And I think most people are well aware of my thoughts on Castle as a prospect. I don't view him as a high-level prospect the way others do. And again, that is just a difference of opinion. I think Sohan's a better prospect for the Spurs. And Sohan started, he played 30 minutes, he had 17 and 15 with 4 assists, 2 steals and a block on 70% shooting. Now that will not hold. 70% shooting will not hold. But I will hold Sohan very tenderly, but I'll also hold him onto my roster. He is a must-roster player. And Stephon Castle is absolutely not.
Get that garbage out of here.
Steph Castle has started for most of the season. He's not a top 200 player. He is not remotely close to a must-roster player, Steph Castle. Get him out of here. He had 2 points in 23 minutes, by the way, on 13%. And we still, there's still no Keldon in this one. There was no Trey Jones. And we still got limited minute Devin Vassell. The pathway for Castle being a 12-team league guy, it's invisible, man. It's not there. Wemby. He had 20 and 12 with 5 assists and 6 blocks. That's pretty good, yeah. The shooting wasn't great, but the other stuff's good. And the pencil. Oh, no. The pencil. Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. He had 17 points. He hit 4 threes. He had 1 rebound. So that's a Barnes game, and you look at it and go, thanks, Harrow, but we're not going to do anything with it. Chrissy Paul didn't score. He missed all 5 of his shots, but he did have 4 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals, which is good enough. And another solid game from Julian Champagny. I think the next thing that's going to happen eventually is Vassell replacing Champagny. He had 11 and 6 with 3 threes and 2 steals. Champagny roster him. I wouldn't think that this game from Vassell would make him get into the starting lineup any quicker. He had even a worse game than Castle, if that's possible. 4 points with nothing else on 18% shooting. But his games prior to this had been very good. Do not drop Devin Vassell, and if anyone in your league drops Devin Vassell, immediately claim him. It's frustrating how long they take to get him back to full minutes, but it's what they do, and it's what they've done with Vassell for a while now, and I don't fully understand why they're doing it, but it is what they're doing, so yeah, we adjust to that. The next game is the Portland Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns. There was no DeAndre Ayton in this game. Jabari Walker had started the last game at center, but he moved back to the bench, and that meant that Donovan Clingan moved into the starting lineup. So let's just start with him. Rob Williams was allegedly available. Well, not allegedly, he was available in this game as well. Klingon started. He played 19 minutes. He had 10 and 9 with 2 blocks, which is very, very solid. It's fine. Roster him for now. I still have no idea what happens when Ayton plays. No idea. Are they just going to rotate guys with fake injuries? I don't think so. Klingon, I firmly believe, is going to have value at some point in this season. And that's enough to have value right now for Klingon. But I just think we're going to have a long stretch here where he doesn't have enough. Rob Williams came back came back one game later than Klingon. He had 8 points in 17 minutes. And if you didn't want to hold him, just don't. That's okay. The path was there for a big role for Williams. It didn't eventuate. And now we're in a mishmash again. Tamani Kamara was pretty good in this game. 14 and 7 with 2 threes, a steal and a block in a revenge game against his former team, but he's really not a 12-team league player. And Jeremy Grant was fine, 17 and 6. Anthony Simons was fine, 20 and 4 with 5 assists. But I'll tell you who wasn't fine, and I'm 100% ready to call this now. Shaedon Sharpe.
Get that garbage out of here.
12 and 5. He had 5 assists, but he had 33% shooting, and he is, honestly, a worse Jaden Ivey. And that's not a 12-team league guy. There will be moments when other guys are out and hurt where he plays 40 minutes a game with 30 usage, they lose by 1,000,000 points, and he puts up 20 points on 25 shots. It will happen at some point, but not now. Move on. Also, look, that's a pretty good game from Denny Avdia, 17 and 7, but 28 minutes for him, he hit 3 threes. To me, he is very fringe as a 12-team league guy and not a must-roster player. And have the Blazers just given up on Scoot? I think they have.
Get that garbage out of here.
Which is insane considering he's played about 90 career games. If that, 2 points in 19 minutes with 4 assists. You can easily get rid of Scoot Henderson. I thought that there was a real chance of a big second-year breakout, that he was really good at the end of last season. And then they started the season. They were actually going to bring you off the bench, number 3 overall pick that we traded Damian Lillard because we drafted you for. And we won't actually give you an opportunity to see what happens. And now they just don't play him. It's a very weird development path. I'm not going to write off Scoot from being good, but honestly, I am very close to saying that star upside for him is done. I'm real close to that. I'm not quite there with Scooter, but if you're doing this as a number 3 overall pick, a third of the way through year 2, and the guys ahead of you are Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons, then yeah, you're probably not going to be a star. And I thought he was, and that looks like a horrid misjudgment. Here's a question though. I had Scoot very clearly at number 2 in that draft. Wrong, right? I'm happy to say that that's going to be wrong. Miller went number 2, but the question is now, do you think Brandon Miller should have gone number 2, or do you think it should have been Amen Thompson? Because I don't think anyone else is really in that discussion. I had Scoot to Amen 3, I believe, in that draft. And I'm just thinking of this now. I don't know what direction I would go. I think Miller's skill set, if he hits, probably is more valuable than Amen. But I don't know. I've never seen anyone like him. I've never seen an athlete like him. That includes his brother. I've never seen anything like it. So I think that Amen at 2 would imagine Amen Thompson. Imagine Amen Thompson guarding and playing next to LaMelo Ball. Just think about it for a sec. Pretty good, yeah. Anyway, that's a detour that you probably didn't need or want, or you may have fast-forwarded through. So welcome back if you're here again. Let's talk about the Suns. They did roll out the same lineup. Bradley Beal was out of this one for knee swelling. They said there's nothing structural going on, but that's not good, is it? Beal hasn't really had knee problems in the past. It's been hamstring and back, and there was wrist, and there was shin splints, and now he's got a knee to add to it. Bro is breaking down before our eyes. Don't drop him, but yeah, not good. Booker had 28 with 5 assists, and Durant had 20 and 7 with 7 assists, but shot weirdly poorly. Durant, look, I don't know how best to say this for Durant. You know that I was down on him. Makes me sound like a hater. I'm not. He's Kevin Durant. He's awesome. But I did not want to take him in the first round, and I thought there were numerous indicators that would suggest that he might not even be a top 20 player. That was my preseason take on him. One of my preseason takes was that I would take Jalen Williams ahead of him in the draft. The other one was I'd consider Kawhi Leonard. That was before I really dug into the Kawhi stuff more, and now obviously not doing that. But Durant's 21st this season per game. He is, 67th over the last 2 weeks? There's just something a bit off. Royce O'Neal started with Beal out. He was like serviceable, 13 and 4 with 3 threes. That's streamable without being a must roster. And Grayson Allen, only 24 minutes. Those 35 minutes that he was playing last season are never coming back.
Get that garbage out of here.
Tyus Jones, another elite shooting night. Now, he doesn't take any shots, 9 of them, but he hit 8 of them. 19, 4 and 4. Looks great. Looks fantastic. I would absolutely use this to sell high on Tyus Jones. 100%. Nurkic had 10 and 14, and he looks better. You'd feel good if you've got him at the moment because things are just looking better for Yusuf Nurkic. All right, let's do the next one. The Golden State Warriors host the Dallas Mavericks. PJ Washington returned, and that meant that Quentin Grimes moved to the bench, and the Mavericks cooked the Warriors. 143 to 133. Luka was ridiculous. 45, 11, and 13. 3 steals, 2 blocks, 6 triples. 70% shooting, 78 from the line. An unbelievably good game. And Klay Thompson was great too. 29 minutes, 29 and 5, 7 triples, 4 assists, 2 steals and a block. And I also know what you're going to say, Josh. Revenge games are real. That's great. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Great work from Klay to do that. In order for revenge games to be a real thing, they have to be something that you can actually predict and use. And when 1 out of 20 of them hit, well, they're not a real thing. He was really good in this game. There's no doubt. He was really good the last time out against Golden State. That's cool. But revenge games are not a real thing. You can't just pick and choose the ones that are good. You have to look at all the ones that don't do anything. For it to be anything actionable for betting or for DFS or for fantasy or whatever. I don't care that Klay was great here. I care. That's really good for him. Well done. But it doesn't change my opinion that Klay is not a must-roster player. Irving had 21 with 8 assists, which is a strong game. And PJ. Now, he didn't really take many shots here. He had 13 and 4 with a steal and a block, which is really strong. Let's talk about the center matchup because this has been the way that it's been heading. 30 minutes for Lively, 17 minutes for Gafford. Now, Gafford outproduced him in fantasy sense anyway, 10 and 9, while Lively had 8 and 7 with a steal and a block. But 30 minutes to 17 minutes means we definitely go with Lively. And Gafford's a clear points league drop. 12-team points, no worries, get him out. But in a category league, I would try to hold Gafford in 12s, but if he's a 17-minute-a-night player, that's not enough. Spencer Dinwiddie's little run of being good turned back into being Dinwiddie. He had 0 points in 21 minutes, so you can get rid of him and feel okay about it. And then Grimes had a really strong shooting performance, 14 points with 4 threes, but that's just not enough. There's not enough minutes available for him to do that on a regular basis for us to care about. The Warriors came in and they changed that lineup, which was sticking around for the foreseeable future. Kevon Looney went back and started. Draymond Green moved to the bench. Gary Payton moved back to the bench. Andrew Wiggins started. And it's all going to change again because Dennis Schroeder is going to be there next game and someone is going to the bench and that someone is Buddy Hield. And then we see how it all works. Let's talk about the centers because Green, it didn't really matter. He played 29 minutes. Draymond, he had 21 and 7 with 5 threes, which is, of course, an elite Draymond Green game, and we don't believe in that. But what's important is the 29 minutes. Looney started, played 22. He had 6 assists a little bit out of nowhere. That's a nice deep league guy. And Jackson Davis is still being rostered in leagues, and I think it's very, very clear. Just I'm gonna double barrel these guys. I'm gonna double jack them. Brandon Podziemski and Trace Jackson Davis, both second-year players. Just get rid of them.
Get that garbage out of here.
Podziemski had 16 minutes with 3 points, and Schroeder's coming next game. Jackson Davis played 14 minutes, had 5 points. See ya. Bud Hield, 9 points, 3 threes, 27 minutes. No Schroeder. Cool. See ya, buddy.
Get that garbage out of here.
Well, the bucket, Johnny Kuminga, had 20 points. He also had 6 assists, which is a little bit surprising for him. His fantasy game is still built on a deck of cards. It's built on a house of lies. I think he might become droppable, but we're not doing it yet. Well, Wiggins just stepped into a huge game. If you could sell Andrew Wiggins at this point, you do it immediately before Schroeder arrives. 29, 3 and 4 with 5 threes for Wiggo. We also got Hall Pass legend Lindy Waters sticking his beak in. And not that beak. He had 12 points with 4 threes and 4 steals. That's a really good game from Waters. But again, this is about to get all sorts of messy. Because Schroeder's going to come in and what's he going to play? 30 minutes? 27 minutes? And there was no Moody in this game either. And Kyle Anderson got a DNP. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's particularly clean in Golden State at the moment. All right, let's do the final game of the day. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Grizzlies rolled out the same starting lineup. Well, for the first half, I guess, because they did make some changes in the second half. Brandon Clark was benched and Zach Edey started, and Jalen Wells went to the bench and Marcus Smart started. The final score here was 116-110 in favor of the Lakers, and we got limited minutes again from the Grizzlies guys. Look, not super limited, but 31 from Morant, who had 28 points, 7 rebounds. He had 6 assists. He got 3 steals. His free throws have been pretty good this season. They weren't quite as good here, but he just shot horribly, 29% from the field. Overall, it's been a frustrating season, but also a better per minute and per game season than we've had from Morant in the past. Jaren just played the 29 minutes, 29 and 5 for him, and it was another bad night from Des Bane. Outside of putting up the old slot machine 777 line, he had no other stats. He had no steals or blocks or threes, and he shot poorly. It has been an incredibly, out of nowhere, disappointing season from Bane. There's no reason to have expected him to be this bad or for his shots to not fall, and I still firmly believe there's a big buy low at play, but it's frustrating. As for Edey, 24 minutes, 13-10, steal and a block. I thought he looked really good. His offensive rebounding was strong. I think his upside is still limited because I don't think he's going to be able to play 30 minutes or even be a high usage player in the NBA, but he's doing plenty and he should be rostered everywhere. Santi Aldama, well, I've been saying for a long time that I believe it's going to crash and he continues to do stuff, and I've thrown my hands up in the air and go, how? How is this happening? Well, 13% shooting here with 6 points and 0 assists. One of the things I didn't know about Santi is why is he shooting like 68% on twos? The second thing I was like, why is all of a sudden he's getting assists? And then I finally sort of lent into it. All right, cool. Aldama's just going to do this, is he? Well, no, he's not. 6 and 3. Because he's been so good all season in those limited minutes, which again defies so much logic, I'm okay to hold, but yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm super surprised. Marcus Smart started the second half. He played 29 minutes, but he shot 27%. He had 7 3-and-3. If you want him, that's okay. I think he's fine to roster. I wouldn't sit here and say that you got to do it. While still people are rostering Scottie Pippen, and you definitely don't do that. He had 2 points in 9 minutes, while Clark just the 13 minutes, 5 points for him. We can drop him now that Edey has returned. The Duck Luke Kennard gave them a bit of a bump in this one, 12 points with 3 threes in 18 minutes, but I'm not really going to do anything super interesting or reactionary or anything along those lines. The Lakers side of things, they started out the game really strong, and then Anthony Davis went to the locker room with a shoulder injury and things started to fall apart. But AD returned and he was ridiculous. 40 and 16, 2 steals and a block, elite percentage stuff, fantastic. LeBron was back. He started out the game pretty good. In the end, it's a fine game from LeBron. 18, 8 and 8 with a steal and 2 blocks. 1 of 4 from the line hurts. And I think it's safe to say that LeBron is never going to be peak LeBron or even 2 years ago LeBron, but it's good that he is back. Austin Reeves also 36 minutes. That is what we wanted in his, I think, second game back, 19, 2 and 7 with 2 steals. But that's it. That's the value of players on this team. Rui Hachimura fouled out. He played 38 minutes. He had 8 and 6 with a steal and a block. Actually, you know what? Did he foul out? I thought he got close to it. No, he didn't. I don't think he did end up foul out. No, he only got the 5 fouls. My bad. 8 and 6, steal and a block. 38 minutes. He's bad. This is Rui Hachimura. It's who Rui Hachimura has always been. We do not roster Rui Hachimura in 10 or 12 team leagues. I don't know how long I'm going to do the bit. I don't even know if it's a bit because it's true. It's funny to me. It's probably not to you. But how did the entire NBA let Dalton Connect fall to 17 for the Lakers to get him? How? JJ Redick was already drawing up plays for him on draft night. What a steal to get a top 5 player at pick 7. 5 points in 13 minutes for Connect. He had no threes, assists, steals, or blocks. And yeah. Okay. John?
Get that garbage out of here.
Yeah, we're not rostering Dalton Connect. Obviously, he's better than this. He can be much better than this. But we're not rostering him. I said it, I think, on today's waiver wire show that I'm ready to move on from D'Angelo Russell. Thankfully, he didn't make me look entirely stupid. I've looked stupid plenty of times, but not this one. 7, 3 and 2, 17 minutes. Get that garbage out of here, D'Angelo. Max Christie is the starter du jour. 6 points for him in 29 minutes. We're not doing anything with that. And Gabe Vincent went back to 14 minutes. And that's about it, I think, from the Lakers side of things. Good win. But, geez, there's a lot of shit going on in that box score. And we're only caring about 3 players. Davis, Reeves, and LeBron for 10 and 12 teamers. And honestly, 14-teamers, Rui maybe sneaks into 14s. I'd probably hold D'Lo in 14s, but I wouldn't with Dalton Connect, as the rookie wall hit him in the face after about 3 games. And that is the action. That's it. They're the games. That's the games. Now, I'm not going to do my league recaps that I normally do after Sunday's games because most of my leagues are in the middle of a 2-week matchup. So we'll do it next week. No point me showing you, hey, here's how it looks halfway through. We'll do that next week and recap those because that's how I set up the schedule, given the NBA Cup and all that sort of stuff. We'll be back tomorrow. Still regular format of shows going to. That's not true, actually, because there won't be a look-ahead show for Tuesday because there are no games on. But we'll be doing the other regular shows running tomorrow, but I haven't finished. Actually, what am I talking about? I haven't even finished this show because I have not even told you at this point who the line of the night winners were. Let's go through it. It's no shock. The monstrous line of the night, of course, is Luka Doncic, who pops up 45, 11, and 13 with 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's not a surprise. Your waiver wire line of the night, maybe it is. He goes to the man in Washington, Justin Champagnie. Just continues to really subvert my expectations, because I just expect that he drops off. But those players haven't returned, and we'll see what happens. But he looks really good. The young gun of the night, ho-hum, it's Victor Wembanyama. He had another 6 blocks. He had a double-double. Cool. Just keep on going, my guy. But unfortunately for him, his teammate is the dud of the night, and it is Devin Vassell, who put up a robust 4 points with absolutely, literally no other counting stats whatsoever. 4 points. Do not overreact to Vassell being this bad. It'll be okay. But that clearly stinks. Let's go through and have a look at the top 6. The top 6 category, guys, is where we'll start things off. Obviously, Luka was at the top. It was a sizable gap, but the guy coming in number 2 played in that final game. It was Anthony Davis, followed by Towns, Wembanyama, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, the old teammates next to each other there. Your top 6 waiver wire players of the day. Number 1 was Justin Champagnie, followed by Flaming Mo Wagner, who got red hot. Jaden McDaniels, Obi Toppin. I think you can find spots for Champagnie, Wagner, Toppin on 12-team leagues at the moment. I don't have faith in any of them holding, and we know what McDaniels is. He's a stream guy. Lindy Waters popped off, don't care, and Andrew Dempard's more of a 14-team league player. Your top 6 Yahoo Points League guys, it's, of course, Luka up the top yet again, followed by Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Karl Anthony Towns, Justin Champagnie, and Klay Thompson. And then for ESPN points leagues, number 1 is Doncic, Davis, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Victor Wembanyama, and Justin Champagnie. Let's go and take a look now at any injuries that happened. The only one that really happened, I did put Anthony Davis on here because he did leave the game with a shoulder injury, but he returned. But it was just Kristaps Porzingis who left with a heel injury. He did not return. If he is out, Al Horford's going to be your stream, and then you go to Luke Cornett after that. And that's really about where we're at. And that's it. That's Sunday. 7 games on. There's 6 games on Monday, so we're going to be back and talking about all of those, of course, in tomorrow's games. But just go ahead and thumb this one up. And, of course, don't remember. Actually, do remember and don't forget. That's what I was trying to say. Don't forget. You did something good. Did you add Justin Champagnie, despite me suggesting maybe I wouldn't be doing it? Good work. I was wrong. You were right. Well done. Praise the good stuff. Recognize the good things. Did you tidy up your bedroom? Maybe. I don't know. That's a good thing. We always do something good, and we just beat ourselves up too much. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.